So over Thanksgiving break, I had the opportunity to interview Tom Flynn, and Tom is currently the CFO at Consolidated Equipment Group, and he also handles a majority of the human resource functions and responsibilities that go on in that company. So I first started off the interview by asking Tom just his background and experience in HR. And he told me that he's worked in numerous small businesses where they don't really have an HR department. So in turn, all the HR responsibilities get passed on to the financial person, which was his role. And so that's how he kind of got started in HR. So one of the things I asked him was what changes that he's seen in HR over the years. And the three big things that he told me was employee behavior and interaction, and just the most of that being just how to communicate with employees. And then policy and regulation, both coming from the companies and the government. The two specific laws that he mentioned to me was the COBRA Act and the Affordable Care Act, and that kind of ties in with the third point here, employee compensation, just how it relates to employee benefits, insurance, wages, and things like that. So the next thing we talked about was employee turnover, and he mentioned to me that it can be both positive and negative. The positive being obviously removing someone who isn't a good fit for the company and is causing problems for the organization. And then on the negative side, being when it becomes costly and good talent that you want to keep around ends up moving somewhere else. So we also talked about gray area issues, so situations that he might face that aren't so black and white. The two main things that he told me that what he uses to handle those situations is doing what is best for everyone in the organizations. So kind of avoiding those decisions that where it might be better for the employer or might be better for the employee, and then in that just creating a good balance where it's the decision is good for both the employer and the employee. So company culture, I think this is one of the highlights of the interview. He talked about how the employees and employer or owners have to adopt the same culture, just so everyone's kind of on the same page. And then this was a quote that I'm taking from the interview that he said. He said that healthy culture makes healthy employees, which makes a healthy company. And that just kind of ties back to the first point here of just kind of everyone being on the same page. And then also Consolidated Equipment Group is founded on Christian values and beliefs. So they kind of have that Christian base instilled in their culture. And then he also mentioned that positive performance comes from a healthy culture too. All right. So I also asked him on what he thinks, on what qualities he thinks that great employees possess. And the main ones here are that they're motivated, they're good communicators, enjoy what they do what is best, and they give their best effort. We also discussed disciplinary actions. Tom said that it's something that an organization has to do, and it's never a fun thing. It's necessary in order to prevent problems from reoccurring, and that it is also necessary in order to do what is best for the company. I also asked him what the greatest awards he has gained from being in HR. And he said that he's been able to watch people advance in their careers, and then kind of tying into that second point, seeing people being rewarded financially as they've progressed in their career. And then he's also gotten to know employees better. And then on the flip side of that, I also asked him what are the biggest challenges that he's faced from being in HR, and kind of tying back to the beginning of the presentation, changing of laws and regulations, that just has a lot of implications on how the company operates, and then also what you can and can't say. and then also taking a look at people that are not doing what they are supposed to do. So these kind of all relate to each other, and then especially going back, it all kind of ties in together. So just to wrap up here, personally, the insightful interview topics that I chose were laws, policies, and regulations, just because those are constantly changing. And they're always, the government's always changing their policies on what you can and can't do, and then in turn, businesses and corporations have to follow that. Also, employee behavior and interaction is huge. If you don't know how to communicate with employees or interact with them, no one's ever really going to be on the same page, and everyone's always just going to be butting heads, and it's just not a healthy work environment. And then company culture, I think, is probably the biggest one for me. And also Tom said that company culture is everything, just because it's kind of the atmosphere that everyone follows, and it just kind of determines whether or not an organization is going to succeed or fail. And that's a presentation.